टेस्ट 29 तारिख आरंभ होता है 7 पुणी शेष रही ऑनलाइन क्लास और 10 मिनट कर दो Good afternoon. Let's start the class. Today we'll cover the World Bank. What is the need of a bank called World Bank? So bank fulfill the financial need. Fine. In the post-second dollar period, it was felt that there is a need of the bank to help the economy in reconstruction and developmental activity. Okay. Okay. So that is why the World Bank was created. Okay. So by the Bretton Woods Conference. What? Bretton Woods Conference, which will fulfill the reconstruction and developmental financing. Okay. This is the objective with which this was created. With 189 member countries, staff from more than 170 countries, and officials in over 130 locations, the World Bank Group is a unique global partnership. 5 institutions working for sustainable solutions that reduce poverty and build shared prosperity in developing countries. Okay, so it is called headquartered at Washington DC in USA, created by the Bretton Woods Conference. Okay, is a five has 5 group institutions. Okay, so it has 5 group institutions to take care of. Class sorry, fine. So this is the group institution. World Bank Group is one of the world's largest source of funding and knowledge for developing countries. It's 5 institutions called the group World Bank Group. We'll discuss about that. So World Bank is not one institution, it's a group institution called the World Bank Group. Okay. So headquartered Washington DC, created by the Bretton Woods Conference. Okay. Okay. So to say about the detail about the group, you can write. So one is IBRD. Number 2 is IFC. 3 is IDA. 4 is MIGA. and 5 is ICSID. Okay, this IBRD stands for International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. IF stands for International Finance Corporation. IDA stands for International Development Association. MIGA stands for Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. And ICSID stands for International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. Fine. These 5 group institutions. So IBRD, IFC, IDA, MIGA, ICSID. These 5 are branded as World Bank Group. World Bank Group institution. Fine. World Bank has two stated goals. First is to end extreme poverty by decreasing the number of people living on less than 1.9 day or below 3% of the world population. Second is to increase overall prosperity by increasing income growth in bottom 40% of every country in the world through development, financing, catering to employment, health, education, drinking water, sanitation, environment, all these, including livelihood also. Fine. Going to the background, as I told you, the World Bank has its genesis in the Bretton Woods Conference, officially known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference. Okay. So Britain is a place in USA. The conference was United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, was a gathering of delegates from 44 nations that met from July 1st to 22nd in 1944 in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, USA, to agree upon a series of new rules for international financial and monetary order after the conclusion of World War II. Because World War II has witnessed okay. After the Second World War, the world was devastated by the impact of war. So that need huge fund for reconstruction activity of the war ravaged economy as well as developmental activity of something new. Okay, and both the activity need huge fund. Both what? The reconstruction and development. both need huge fund. Fine. A huge fund is required for both the activity. There is a need for a financial institution, and for that the meeting was held. Okay. The two major accomplishments of the conference were the creation of the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development (IBRD) and the International Monetary Fund. Fine. At okay, okay. So two major institutions were created. Okay, one is the IBRD and second is the International Monetary Fund. Okay, am I clear? Founded in 1944, the IBRD has expanded to a closely associated group of five development institutions. So, she 1944 Bretton Woods Conference. So, IBRD was created. In subsequent period, four other institutions were expansionally added to it. They have been associated with the five as a five developmental institutions. So that, as I told, is popularly known as the World Bank Group. Okay. So what are under this World Bank Group? Let's see. Okay. So I have told it to you. Originally, its loans helped rebuild countries devasted by the World War II. In time, the focus shifted from reconstruction to development. After the reconstruction was over, in the okay, okay. With the funding of the International Financial Corporation in 1956, the institution became able to lend to private company to financial institution developing countries. Okay, what happened? It was created to finance reconstruction. Reconstruction was over. Okay, after the reconstruction activity is over, what to do next? After reconstruction, the fund was diverted for development. So development became the new parameter of the International Bank Group. Founding of the International Development Association in 1960. So you see, if you go to the timeline, 1944 is IBRD. 44-45. 1956 is IFC. 1960 is IDA. This one. But greater emphasis on poorest people, poorest countries. Part of a steady shift towards the eradication of poverty becoming the bank's group's primary goal. Okay. When ID was created, see, IFC was created to lend to the private sector. But when IDA was created, it was created with the purpose to provide fund to the poor countries. Fine. Poor countries were provided funding through the IDA, International Development Association. Okay. 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 International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute was founded in 1966, as I told. So, ICSID 1966. If you go for the tagline, you can say that IBRD 1945, then comes IFC 1960, then is IDA 1966, then is ICSID 1966, and then comes MIGA after that. So the ICSID was created to create. সেটা আমি কাল ফরওয়ার্ড করতে সম্পূর্ণ বাবু okay. So settlement of investment dispute, because when World Bank was created, so the new era has started and one country was allowed to invest in other countries. As they are allowed to invest, so there is possibility of dispute among the country which invest and the country which has invested. Okay. Then this, as I told, the MIGA. MIGA was created in 1988. See the sequence: 1945. Okay. 1945 IBRD, 1960 IFC, 1966 ID and ICSID, and 1988 MIGA. Okay. Okay. So this way, by 1988, all the 5 group institutions of World Bank were created. Okay. Okay. The World Bank Group, together the IBRD, the IDA from the World Bank, which provide financing, policy advice, and technical assistance to government of developing countries. Okay, so you see these two, what IBRD and IDA from the World Bank Group provides financing, policy advice, and technical assistance to government of developing countries. Okay, so they not only provide finance, they provide finance, policy advice, and technical assistance. Okay, so here the mention about the group institutions: IBRD 1945, then IFC 1960, then IDA is 1966, ICSID same year 1966, and MIGA 1988. Coming to the function, IBRD provides long-term loan for development. Okay, then IFC lends to the private sectors in different countries. This provides loan to the government. This provides loan to the private sector. Then IDA provides low interest or no interest loan to the poor countries. Then MIGA provides insurance to foreign investment due to political risk. And ICSID provides the adjudication mechanism, or you can say dispute settlement institution, like the court. Fine. This way, the five institutions: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This way, the 5 group institutions functions. Okay. Different institution perform different functions. Okay. They perform different function. It's quite natural because different types of needs are there, and to cater to that, different institutions should be created, whether it is financial one or providing technology support, okay, or sorting out disputes, whatever it may be, okay, that needs different institutions. And the World Bank Group has created such diverse institutions, okay, because diversity is needed to fulfill different requirements, okay. Clear? Here the major functions are played by two. Which are the two? One is IBRD, one is IDA. These two play a major role in global developing countries development. Fine. Because the other three, one is insurance provider, one is dispute settlement institution, and the other is a private sector lender. Okay. So as it was or it has different institutions. So okay. Different institutions have been created, but IBRD provides fund for health, education, okay, environment, drinking water, sanitation. So almost all the domains of development of the developing country and the poor countries are fulfilled by the World Bank. And if the countries are underdeveloped or poor countries, then comes the role of the IDA. Fine. And IDA is more important because it is the financial supporter to the poorest countries of the world. And these poorest countries are really in need of development or really in need of fund for development. And no one is willing to provide that fund to the poor country. Fine. So who will give them the fund? Only the idea comes to the rescue of the poorest countries. Okay. Moving forward. See, detail about the five institutions IBRD 1945. Role is to promote institutional, legal and regulatory reforms Government of member countries with per capita income between $1,025 and $6,055. But it provides technical assistance, loans, policy advice, etc. IDA established in 1960 to promote institutional, legal and regulatory reforms. Government of poorest countries with per capita income of less than $1,025. Technical assistance, interest-free loans, policy advice. IFC, International Finance Corporation. Okay. So, to promote private sector development. Middle income country or countries where the per capita income ranges between 1,026 to 12,475 per year. These countries like Indonesia, India, Thailand are often home to fast growing economies that attract a lot of foreign investment and large infrastructure building projects that needs fund. And that financial assistance to create these infrastructures are provided by IPR. IBD has maintained a triple A rating since 1959. This high credit rating allows it to borrow at low cost and upper middle income developing countries access to capital on favorable terms, helping ensure that development projects go forward in a more sustainable manner. IBD earns income every year from the return on its equity and from the small margin it makes on lending. This pay for World Bank operating expenses goes into reserve to strengthen the balance sheet and provides an annual transfer of funds to IDA, the fund for poorest countries. So where from World Bank get the fund for lending? That is very important. Where from the World Bank get? So through bonds or the World Bank bond in the international market. And the money so raised is lended with nominal interest rate, and that nominal interest rate bring profit for the World Bank. Interest rate is nominal, unlike the IMF where interest is higher, much higher, but the World Bank interest rate is nominal, but with this nominal interest it earn profit. Okay, and out of this profit it contribute a part to the IDA to lend that money to the interest free loan to the poorest country of the world. This is, you can say, the humanitarian wing of the World Bank, the IDA, which provides low interest or no interest loan to the poorest country. IFC, the largest global development institution, focused exclusively on private sector in developing countries. It is a private sector arms of the World Bank to advise economic development by investing in for profit and commercial projects for poverty reduction and promoting development. The bank group has set up two goals for world to achieve by 2030 and extreme poverty and promote shared prosperity in every country. Okay. Okay. So because the private sector in member country or in the countries may need funding for their development, that each the
SSC ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଚିହ୍ନା ଅଛନ୍ତି ମୋତେ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ସେ ଯେଉଁ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂର ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ଯେଉଁ ଭ୍ୟାକେନ୍ସି ଆସିଥିଲା ସେ ଡିପ୍ଲୋମା ପିଲା ଏଲିଜିବଲ୍ ଥିଲେ ବଟ୍ କେସ୍ କଲେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କେସ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ଓନ୍ଲି ସେଇମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଲାଉ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ମାନେ କୋର୍ଟରୁ ଅର୍ଡ଼ର ଆସିଗଲେ ସେ ନମ୍ବର ଦେଲେ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିକି କଥା ହେଇଥାନ୍ତି OSS ଟାସ୍କ କେତେବେଳେ ସରିବ ଆପଣଙ୍କର?
ଆଉ 20 minutes. Okay. Bank has set two goals for development to achieve 2030: extreme poverty and promote shared prosperity in every country. So this led to the private sector in the countries. IDA 1960 competent complement to IBRD, World Bank's original lending section. IDA is created to provide aid to the world's poorest countries. As I told you, it's the poor countries lender. Provide fund to the poorest countries of the world. The private idea is to eradicate poverty through the provision of grants for programs and credit which are interest-free loans. Overseen by 173 shareholders nations, IDA aims to reduce poverty by providing loans and grants for programs that boost economic growth, reduce inequality, and improve people's living conditions. Okay, so it also try to improve the living conditions of people around the world. Fine. IDA is one of the largest source of assistance for the world's 75 poorest countries, 39 of which are in Africa, and is the single largest source of donor funds for basic social service in these countries. So most of the funding of IDA goes to the African countries. IDA supports a range of development activity that pave the way towards equality, economic growth, job creation, higher incomes, and better living conditions. IDA's work covers primary education, basic health services, clean water and sanitation, agriculture, business, climate improvements, infrastructure, and institutional reforms. This is the IDA's focus area. The Center for Settlement and Investment Disputes 1966 offer international facility for the mediation, arbitration of investment related disputes among the among the country in the world, because member states have agreed on ICDs as a forum for investor state dispute settlement in most international investment treaties and in numerous investment law and contracts. So in case of any dispute regarding investment, member of ICD SID can move to ICSID for resolving their investment related disputes, and MIGA is the insurance provider. Foreign direct investment in developing countries promotes economic expansion, less poverty, and enhance people's quality of life. MIGA satisfies this mandate by providing investors and lenders with political risk insurance guarantee. In case of any risk to the investment due to political change, MIGA comes forward. The organization that make up World Bank Group are owned by the government. हाँ तो नहीं गुड आफ्टरनून तो से जो संडे प्रोग्राम है हमारे कांटेक्ट करेंगे तुमको नहीं नहीं इतना नॉर्मल नहीं बोलना सीधा बस नॉर्मली लेकर जा दो बेमार खास है मैंने वैसा कुछ लगा नहीं तो फिर हम लाइब्रेरी की अपनी होगी ना इस बार मुझे बड़ी पूरा क्या नहीं पाई से मन को तो रेगुलर होता है दे वांट टू रिस्पेक्ट सम अच्छी बात है मतलब वही तो कोई जैसे बेटर टू सीधा रहना এটা সানডে দিন সানডে দিন ପାଇଁ ସେଟା ରାତି 10ଟା ବେଳେ ମତେ ବି କହିଥିଲି ଆପଣ ଯଦି ହବ ମୁଁ ବି ଚାକିରି ପାଇଁ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲା ଆଚ୍ଛା ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ରେ ସେମିନାର ପାଇଁ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ଯୋଉ ସଟରଡେ ପାଇଁ ସେଟା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ସେ କଲେଜ ର ସଟରଡେ ଛୁଟି ଦେଲା କାଲି କରିଦେଲେ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହାଫ 2:30 ବେଳକୁ ତାହେଲେ ମୁଁ ତାହେଲେ ଯାଇକି ସେ ଗାଡି ଫଟିକୁ ଭୋଟ ନେଇ ଆସିବ ଲଞ୍ଚ ପରେ ଏଠି ଆସିବ ଓକେ ତାହେଲେ ତମେ ସେଇ 1 o'clock ପାଖାପାଖି 1 o'clock ଆସିଗଲେ ଲଞ୍ଚ ପରେ ଆସିଗଲେ ତମେ ଏଠି ବାହାରିଯିବ ଓକେ ତାହେଲେ ମୁଁ ଗାଡ଼ି ପଠେଇଦେବି ପଳେଇ ନେଇ ଆସିବ ତମେ ଆସିବ କାହିଁ ଆସିବ ଗାଡ଼ି ତ ପାଖରେ ଗାଡ଼ି ଯାଇକି ନେଇ ଆସିବ ଡ୍ରାଇଭର ଯିବ କାହିଁ ଏତେ ଟେନସନ୍ ପଠେଇଦେଲେ କଥା ହବନି ଡ୍ରାଇଭର ଯାଇକି हाँ पठेगा उधर गाइड पठेगा पड़ेगा टाइम को और अपना कर देंगे जब नथली और हम ऐसे लगा आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट ओके है ए मो सेटा को निदान रेडी आवर तुम ना हॉस्पिटल रेस्टे लेटर डेवलप मत विदाउट ठीक है लगे मत बस बहुत ना तो पड़ा नहीं नहीं दैट्स वन फाइन बट और माने रिटर्न का सेट नथला हम कौन लगा तो पड़ा मुझे पड़ा नोट पड़ा बारी बार करके काम किया डोंट लाइक तो ମୁଁ କାଲି ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ବେଳକୁ ଗାଡ଼ି ପଠେଇଦେବି ତମେ ଧରିଥିବ ସେ ଆଡ୍ରେସ୍ ଲୋକେସନ୍ ମୋତେ ଦେଇଦିଅ ତୁମେ ଯାଇ ନେଇ ଆସିବ ଆମେ ଏଠୁ ବାହାରିଯିବା ମୁଁ ତମକୁ କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ ଓକେ ହଉ ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ okay so the organizations that make up World Bank Group are owned by the government of member nations, which have the ultimate decision-making power within the organization on all matters, including policy, financial, membership issues. So the member of the government of the member countries, they regular meet. World Bank meeting is held, the finance minister of the country attend it from the member countries. They took the decisions regarding the policy matters, about the financial issue and other things. Member country given the World Bank Group through the Board of Governors and the Board of Executive Directors. This body make all major decisions for the organization. To become a member of the bank under IBRD Articles of Agreement, a country must first join the International Monetary Fund. Membership in IDA, IFC, MIGA are conditional on membership in IBRD. Once you become an IBRD member, then you can join IDA, IFC and MIGA. The World Bank is like a cooperative made up of 189 member countries. These member countries or shareholders are presented by a board of governors who are the ultimate policy makers at the World Bank. Fine. So it's like a cooperative because global financial institutions created for providing financial support. Not many members, so members should get representation. Generally, the governor are member countries ministers of finance or ministers of development. They meet once a year at the annual meeting of the board of governors of the World Bank Group and its International Monetary Fund. So from India, the finance minister attended. The governor delegates specific duty to 25 executive directors who work on site of the bank. The 5 largest shareholders appoint an executive director, while the other members country are represented by the elected executive directors. World Bank Group president chairs meeting of the board of directors and is responsible for overall management of the bank. The president is elected by the selected, not elected, by the executive directors of 5 years renewal term. The executive director make up the board of directors of the World Bank. They normally meet at least twice a week to oversee the bank's business, including approval of loans and guarantees, new policy, administrative budget, country assistance strategy, and borrowing and financial decisions. Fine. The bank is run in a giant cooperative where the member are shareholders and operated for the benefit of those using its services. The number of shares of a country has its base roughly on the size of the economy. United States is the largest single shareholders, followed by Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, France. The rest of the shares are spread among the other member countries because they are the richest country. They have major share. The share of the country depends upon the economic condition of the country. As the economic condition of the country are better, so India's share is 3.18%, but US is 16.65%. Japan is 8%. So USA, Japan, then China, Germany, UK, France, and India. World Bank lending pattern. The bank lends money to middle income countries at interest rates lower than the rates on loans from commercial banks. In addition, the bank lends money at no interest rate to poorest developing country through IDA, those that often cannot find other source of loans. The bank may lend to member nations up to 20% of their share of the paid-up capitals. Bank also provides loans to private investors who are members on its own guarantee. However, private investors must first obtain permission from their domestic country. Bank impose service fee between 1% to 2% in such cases. Fine. Service fee is also collected by the bank. Fine. For rendering these services to the people. So, what are the activity done? Report file published, ease of doing business. This is important, really important view. World Bank publishes report like ease of doing business, World Development Report, Global Economic Prospect Report, Logistic Performance Index, Remittance Report, Ease of Living Index, India Development Update, Universal Health Coverage Index, the Service Trade Restriction Index. So these are all publications of the World Bank, and they are taken globally. World Bank publication means it has much significance. Okay, and India was one of the 44 original signatories of the agreement reached at Bretton Woods that established the International Bank for Economic Development and the International Monetary Fund. It was also one of the founding member of the IFC in 1966 and ID in 1960. India later became the member of MIGA in January 1994. India is not a member of ICSID. India claims ICSID convention is not fair. Convention's rules for arbitration lended towards the developed countries. In ICSID, the chairman of the center is the chairman of the World Bank. The chairman appoints the arbitrators. If the arbitration award is not satisfactory, then the aggrieved party will appeal to a panel, which will also be considered by the ICSRD. There is no scope for a review of the award by an Indian court, even if the award is against public interest. So that is why India has not participated in the ICSRD. India is not a member. Fine. But India is a member in all four group institutions of World Bank except the ICSID. IBRD lending to India commenced in 1949 with a loan to the Indian Railway. The first investment by IFC in India took place in 1959 and by IDA in 1961 in a highway construction project. India is currently classified as a blend country defined as one in transition from lower middle income to middle income and is credited to Urdi for lending from both IDA and IBRD. India is credited to Urdi because India has never been a defaulter. India is the largest IBRD client of the World Bank between 2015 and 2018. The World Bank lent around 10.2 billion to India. World Bank Group has approved 25 to 30 billion commitment plans for India for a period 2019 to 2020. Means India is a major borrower from the World Bank Group, and India is not a defaulter. India has a big credibility, and that is why India is always favored by World Bank. Okay. In July 2020, the World Bank and the Government of India signed the USD 750 million agreement for an emergency response program for MSME. Earlier in May 2020, World Bank approved USD 1 billion for accelerating India's COVID-19 social protection response program. In November 2021, India and World Bank signed USD 40 million for Meghalaya Health System Strengthening Project. Some World Bank funded projects in India include Skill India Mission, Clean India Mission, National Ganga River Basin Project. Okay. Then at present being run. Okay. It has funded so many other projects. So that can be taken into consideration like the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Projects, Integrated Child Development Services, National AIDS Control Project, MSME Growth Innovation, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Green National Highway Corridor, National Nutrition Mission. Okay. So Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, the largest program to provide schooling to the people, students, is provided or financed through the World Bank. So, India's help of World Bank to India is diversified, spread over many domains. Okay. Deep reform of the World Bank are necessary as part of rethinking the current world order and giving rising powers and developing country meaningful voice in this institution. The bank needs to create space for reflection on the purpose of the multilateral body, the substantive role it should play in the future, the need to strengthen inclusive multilateralism, and the action needed to bolster the position of emerging economy and developing countries. Head of the body should be selected on merit that could signal an important departure from the past. Fine. So this way, the World Bank is a major supporter of India in many developmental programs. There is a desperate need for the institution to be more transparent, representative, and speak for countries which do not get adequate representation. This should ensure an equitable distribution of resources, more concern for equitable development and for growth. So that is what is the present, and India has been demanding reforms in the World Bank. Okay, what is present India's demand? So reform in the World Bank, reform. India's demand. in World Bank and IMF both. We'll cover IMF in next session. So thank you for watching. Be regular in watching these videos to update yourself on the developments. Thank you.